Famous people who passed away in 1759. Before we proceed, please subscribe to our channel to support us. William Pepperell. He was born in June 1696 and he died in July 1759. His age was 63 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an American merchant and soldier in colonial Massachusetts. He is widely remembered for organizing, financial, and leading a 1745 expedition that captured the French fortress of Louisbourg during the King George's War. He owned a number of enslaved people and was considered one of the richest people in America. Throughout his career, Pepperell enslaved around 20 people at any time. He was celebrated as a hero of the British colonial forces in North America. John Forbes. He was born in September 1707 and he died in March 1759. His age was 51 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was dysentery. He was a British Army officer during the French and Indian War. He commanded the 1758 Forbes expedition, which occupied the French outpost of Fort Duquesne. This required a construction of a military trail known as the Forbes Road, which became an important route for settlement of the western United States. Forbes died in Philadelphia and was buried in the Church of Christ Church, Philadelphia. Ferdinand Konstrak. He was born in December 1703 and he died in September 1759. His age was 55 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Croatian Jesuit missionary, explorer, and cartographer who spent most of his life in Mexico. In Baja California, known for his explorations and cartographic work in the Americas. In 1729, he left for Spain, then went to North America, where he was active as a missionary on the New Spain's Baja California Peninsula, today's part of Mexico. From 1732 to end of his life, his headquarters was at Mission San Ignacio. Louis-Joseph de Montcalm. He was born in February 1712 and he died in September 1759. His age was 47 at the time of his death, and he was killed in a battle. He was a French soldier, best known as the commander of the forces in North America during the 7 Years' War, whose North American theater is also referred to as French and Indian War. He is remembered for his leadership in defending French territories during the 7 Years' War. He has been memorialized, especially in France, Quebec, and part of New York and Lower Michigan. Military historians have praised and criticized his decisions in defending Quebec. Anne, Princess Royal and Princess of Orange. She was born in November 1709 and she died in January 1759. Her age was 49 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was dropsy. She was the second child of eldest daughter of King George II of Great Britain and his consort Caroline of Ansbach. She was the wife of William IV, Prince of Orange, the first hereditary stadtholder of all 7 provinces of the northern Netherlands. She was a regent of the Netherlands from 1751 until her death in 1759, exercising extensive powers on behalf of her son William V. Louise Henriette of Bourbon and Duchess of Orleans. She was born in June 1726 and she died in February 1759. Her age was 32 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was tuberculosis. She was a French princess who by marriage became Duchess of Chartres, then Duchess of Orleans, upon the death of her father-in-law. And in February 1752, her husband became the head of the House of Orleans and the first prince of the blood, the most important personage after immediate members of the royal family. She was known for her grace as the mother of Philippe Égalité, a key figure in French Revolution. Georg Anton Orlob. He was born in June 1713 and he died in February 1759. His age was 45 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Baroque painter and was associated for part of his career with the court of Prince Bishop Würzburg and painted portraits and also many frescoes and altarpieces for churches in Lower Franconia. He was a Baroque artist celebrated for his work in churches and aristocratic portraits. Jacob Theodor Klein. He was born in August 1685 and he died in February 1759. His age was 73 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a German jurist, historian, botanist, zoologist, mathematician, and diplomat in service of Polish King Augustus II the Strong. He made significant contributions to taxonomy, particularly of crustaceans and plants. For his work in the natural science, he had been rewarded with the membership of the several scientific societies, including the Royal Society in London, the Academy of St. Petersburg, the Deutsche Gesellschaft in Jena, and the Danzig Research Society. Johann Gottfried Sinn. He was born in December 1727 and he died in April 1759. His age was 31 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a German anatomist and botanist and was member of the Berlin Academy. His anatomical studies and botanical research left a lasting scientific legacy. Considering his short lifespan, Sinn made a great contribution to the study of anatomy. In his book, Descriptio Anatomica Oculio Humani, he provided the first detailed and comprehensive anatomy of human eye. In 1753, he became director of the Botanic Garden of the University of Göttingen, and in 1755, professor of the medical faculty. George Frederick Handel. He was born in February 1685 and he died in April 1759. His age was 74 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a German-British Baroque composer, well known for his operas, oratorios, anthems, concerti grossi, and organ concertos. Handel received his training in Halle and worked as a composer in Hamburg and Italy before settling in London in 1712, where he spent the bulk of his career and became a naturalized British subject in 1727. He was strongly influenced both by Middle German polyphonic choral tradition and by composers of the Italian Baroque. Lambert Sigi Berradon. He was born in October 1700 and he died in May 1759. His age was 58 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a French sculptor born in 1700 in Nancy, the eldest son of sculptor Jacob Siri Berradon. He was known as Adam Ligny the Elder to distinguish him from his two sculptor brothers. His sister Anne Adam married Thomas Michael, an undistinguished sculptor, and became the mother of famous sculptor Claude Michael, known as Claudian, who received his early training in the studio of his uncle. Landgravine Eleanor of Hesse-Rotenburg. She was born in October 1712 and she died in May 1759. Her age was 46 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a consort of John Christian, Count Palatine of Sulzbach, whose two children were both by his first wife. She was a German royalty known for her political influence and a key figure in Habsburg dynasty. Didier Diderot. He was born in September 1685 and he died in June 1760. His age was 74 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a French craftsman and the father of encyclopedist, author, philosopher of enlightenment, Denis Diderot. He contributed to craftsmanship and indirectly to enlightenment thought through his son. He was a specialist in the manufacture of medical and surgical cutting instruments, and his lancets were sought after by teaching doctors. He descended from the families of local craftsmen from the city of Langres, Champagne. Margareta Capsia. She was born in 1682 and she died in June 1759. Her age was 77 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a Swedish-Finnish artist, the first professional native female artist in Finland, which, during her lifetime, was a part of Sweden. She mainly painted altarpieces, but also active as a portrait painter, one of the first professional female artists. Her altarpieces were described as individual illustrations of the Bible, and she was regarded as one of the best painters in the genre, together with Mikhail Topelius. She painted the altarpieces of a long line of churches, such as in the churches of Peltamo. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Have a nice day.